every single chapter. We're here to stay, breaking down plays.
Hey everyone, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. This is the Chasing the Highlights podcast, and we are simulcasting today on YouTube at Lonnie and Friends podcast, and also at Tony Sports Talk. I'm Lonnie Washington in Arizona, and my co-host is Tony Robertson, and we are Lonnie and Tony on the Chasing the Highlights podcast. So, Tony, hey, how's it going today?
Pretty good, pretty good. All I gotta do is this, baby.
Yeah, man. I know you happy about your win this weekend. We'll get to that in a second, but this is a Thanksgiving Day week, couple of days here. So hopefully everyone is traveling safely to their destination and get home safely and have a lot of time with friends and family. I know that I'm frying a turkey this year, like I've been doing for the last 5 years. It's kind of been addicting for me to be able to fry a turkey. And once you fry a turkey, man, and you taste how good it is, you don't ever want to go back to that turkey in the oven.
Nope. Yeah, you turned me on to that, so that's why I've been doing it. So
yeah, it's a good thing, and so let's get right to it. I mean, we had an exciting week number 12 in the NFL. I thought it was probably one of the better weekend games setups that we've had, and everything was really really fun to watch, really exciting to watch, especially if you were watching the Eagles, the Cowboys and Eagles game. Everybody might have turned that one off early, but that was the Cowboys versus Eagles, and arguably one of the most thrilling games of the season. And the Cowboys routed from a 21-point deficit to beat the Eagles 24-21 on a game-winning field goal. Quarterback Dak Prescott rebounded from a poor start to throw 354 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. This was an unbelievable game to watch, and I really couldn't believe actually what I was actually watching. I mean, we were watching this game and we were like, oh man, look at this. This is a crazy game, and to see the Cowboys come back. I mean, the Cowboys are playing inspiring football, and they're actually, I'm really impressed with what they've done, and they've actually saved their playoff hopes, also with just the way they've been playing. And I'm very impressed with them. As a Commanders fan, for me to say that I'm impressed with the Dallas Cowboys, it takes a lot, right? But we try to be a little bit unbiased on this show while still having a love for our teams. And of course, Tony, you love the Cleveland Browns, but watching this game, it was like, wow, Dallas's defense has really come alive with Overshown back. And those two brand new D tackles are starting to sink in a little bit, and they got after the Eagles after they settled in, and then the high-powered offense, came, started, they started catching a lot of footballs and stuff, and it was insane just to see. I mean, George Pickens in this game, he went off. I mean, he had 9 receptions for 146 yards. Tony, CeeDee Lamb. Although CeeDee Lamb, I don't think he had a great game. He had 4 catches for 75 yards, but CeeDee Lamb, he was dropping balls all over the field, and including a touchdown. So I'm not quite sure that could have if Dallas would have lost this game, you will look back at those those CeeDee Lamb drops and maybe have something to say about that. So Tony, what do you think about this game looking back at it?
Well, looking back at it, I was looking at it from a fantasy standpoint because I had Dak Prescott, right? So in the first half or first 2 quarters, I was sitting there like, okay, now I'm about to lose really bad because this dude is playing like trash right now. But then I started watching, it's like touchdown, like oh. So I feel like I said last week on our previous podcast, I felt that the defense was going to be a game changer in this game, even though the Eagles came out and played pretty well from a passing standpoint. I felt like those 2 defensive tackles they brought in was going to be integral to slowing them down because they took something away because as the game went on, I felt like they stopped something. The running game wasn't doing anything. Even though the offense, the passing game was doing well, the running game couldn't get going, and usually that's what they like to do. So that's why I picked the Cowboys to upset them. And at the beginning, it didn't look like they were going to do anything.
No, it looked like it's going to be. A lot of people might have turned this game off. Let me just say that.
Yeah. So, but then when I saw what they, how they came back, I was like, yeah, that was a good pick because that defense is going to turn. It's turning the corner right now, and they look kind of dangerous right now.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I wanna give my hats off to the Cowboys. And obviously, on the Eagles side of the football, I mean, when you watch this game, of course, the Eagles have done this, a lot this season where they've started off really fast and then they fizzle out in the second half, and you really can't put your hand on it, and you're kind of sitting back and saying, what the heck is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another with them. I mean, you have, everybody's talking about AJ Brown and how he wasn't getting the football, but he had, 8 receptions, 110 yards receiving. He averaged almost 14 yards a catch, and then he had a touchdown. And then, Devontae Smith, he had 6 catches for 89 yards, and he had a longest of 41 yards. So they did what they needed to do from a passing perspective. But when you really start looking at everything, as a whole, when you really start looking at it, this is the stat that is astounding to me. I can't get this out of my head with this particular stat. Saquon Barkley, 10 carries for 22 yards against the Cowboys. And so, Tony, my big question to you, and do the Eagles have a running back problem? I mean, because clearly it's hard for them to stay balanced, and the Saquon Barkley has been this way pretty much all season. He's only had 18 explosive plays versus 30 plays last year. So, do you think the Eagles have a running back problem?
I mean, I feel like it could be an offensive line problem because if he can't, if there's no holes opening up, what can he do? But at the same time, there's other ways you can get him the ball. You got to work him into the passing game. But I feel like it could be a quarterback issue.
Wow.
Even though we know it's not him, we know Hurts is not an issue. It's just we don't know if he could change the offense at the line, to switch it up to make it to. If he can see something at the line and say Saquon, we're gonna run Saquon here, or can to change it. We don't know if he's doing that. I mean, I know he's smart. He's a smart quarterback, but we just brainstorming here. We don't know what the issue is. I think it's the offensive line because if there's no reason why he should have only 22 rushing yards. But then again, so the D tackles they brought in actually solidify that defense because once you can get pass protection on the quarterback, or I'm sorry, a pass rush on the quarterback, and you can stop the run, then it's a whole bunch of coverage sacks that happens and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just feel like this Cowboys defense was everybody's looking past them because they thinking of the old defense from the beginning of the season. Now they have all their guys are back, and now it's they're pushing for a playoff run.
Yeah, so Jerry Jones is looking like a genius. I mean, to make those trades at the end of the trade deadline a few weeks ago, and for the Micah Parsons trade and things of that nature, he's looking pretty spiffy now. You wonder though, does he have enough cash in the bank to pay Pickens, or whether he wants to keep Pickens, because Pickens is going to command at least $35 million next season, and he might try to jump up a little bit higher to get bigger money.
Well, they're saying they may franchise tag him. That's what I heard on the throughout the interwebs. So
he's not going to like that at all.
Well, I mean, they have this money into their quarterback, the other receivers. So I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, CD Lamb's making about 34 million with an M. A year. So that's going to be interesting.
They'll figure it out.
I'm sure they will figure it out. We're gonna transition here to another game, and but when we start looking at this other game here, you have the Kansas City Chiefs. They erased the 11-point deficit, and Patrick Mahomes at a 12-play overtime drive to set up a winning field goal. The defense stepped up late, holding the Colts to just 18 total yards in the fourth quarter, and that was just a crazy thing to see. Them actually holding them to just 14 yards in the fourth quarter. That's pretty outrageous. I'm just gonna say it's pretty outrageous. And I'll just leave this here. 23-21, Chiefs get the win, and now they go to 6-5, and Indy drops down to 8-3. When you look at this game is kind of back and forth, and I think that the Kansas City Chiefs said to themselves, "Hey, I'm going to take away the one thing that you guys. I'm going to take away the one thing that makes you guys go on offense, right?" And so they took away the running game, and once they took that away, they said, is Indiana Jones going to stay Indiana Jones, or is he going to become Danny Dimes? And I think that he became Danny Dimes in this game towards the end of this game because he didn't get anything done. I mean, 14 yards in the fourth quarter. I mean, and you had an 11-point lead going to the fourth quarter, and Jonathan Taylor didn't do much, pretty much all game. So if these teams start to look at the blueprint that the Pittsburgh Steelers had, and start taking away Jonathan Taylor, can Danny Dimes playing outside in this time of year, outside the dome, was he going to be Indiana Jones or Danny Dimes? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, this is what we talked about last week, and I was saying, like, the Chiefs at home with their backs against the wall, I feel like, and then you got the outside the dome that we always talk about. Yep. Like, you have to, like, even though they're trying to take something away, there's, just like we were talking about Saquon, you have to be able to get the ball to them in some other way. You have to dump it off to them to get them going. But it seemed like they were just locking in on him or something. I don't know what it was, but I feel like they always try to get Daniel Jones as their, like, the savior or whatever. They want him to take over instead of going with the guy that got you here, right? And I feel like they kind of fall into that a lot because there's times they should have ran the ball no matter what was going on, like to work the clock, and they just kept throwing and throwing. I'm like, they came out and did. I was texting my friend Dustin, this on my son's his daughter's on my swim team and everything, and I texted him. I was like, because he's a Colts fan. I was like, why are they passing? He's like, I don't know, bro. Don't ask me. So but it's crazy because it's like you got a future Hall of Famer in the backfield, and you're sitting here, trying to throw the ball with Danny Dimes. Yep. If you keep trying to go through him, he's going to give you Danny Dimes. He's a good quarterback with this team, but you can't keep trying to rely on him. And when you're up by 11 points. Run the ball. What are we doing here? So I got kind of pissed off at that when I was watching it. So.
Yeah, I know and you know what, we watch a lot of football. I mean, I watch Red Zone a lot, when I'm not watching, my team play, I watch the Red Zone. And so I get to see all the games, all the plays. And if there's a hot game, I'll go and watch that game and then kind of switch back and forth. And, so I get a pretty good perspective on what's going on a Sunday, every Sunday. My wife knows that, hey, on Sundays, don't bother me. We can do shopping during the off season on Sundays, but during the season, don't bother me. I'm locked into all the games. And so this is what we do. When we do these podcasts, we've seen a lot of the games, we've seen the stats, we've seen some fantasy. Tony's really good with fantasy. Me, not too good, not too much, but I still stay locked in all the time. Yeah. And so this is going to be an interesting next few weeks because now you've got a lot, you've got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're right there in the playoff run, and we'll talk a little bit later on the show about can Dallas knock out the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are still standing right there, and and I'm excited to see how this is going to come down the stretch. And my Commanders had a bye week this week, so I'm happy. I'm happy I didn't get to see them get their heads beat in, right? So that's really, really cool. So, but one other thing that we're gonna see though is shake your head, Tony, get like Rocky, because we're about to talk about your boy, right? We're about to talk about your boy over there in Cleveland. So Shedeur Sanders won his first NFL start, defeating the Las Vegas Raiders 24-10. He threw for 209 yards and 1 touchdown, had a 66-yard score to the running back there. Dylan Sampson, and then he had this rocket this rocket to Isaiah Bond, right? Something that you have not seen the Cleveland Browns do. He went off to the right side and then he threw this rocket under pressure and dropped the dime right in the bucket. And I think all the Cleveland Browns fans, whether you was in the stadium or at home, jumped out of your seat.
Yeah.
Even Myles Garrett jumped out of his seat too, right? He was like, what the heck is going on here? So, I love to see it. He wasn't legendary, but he didn't have to be legendary in this game because that defense of the Cleveland Browns had 10 sacks. Myles Garrett had 3 of them. And boy, he's on the heels of the sack record right now. So I'm going to turn it over to you right now so you can talk about your Cleveland Browns, Tony. I'm very impressed about what they did. But remember, it's still the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's not get too excited. But they've been kind of doing this on defense all season.
So, yeah. Don't diminish my team. We got 3 dubs. No matter what we're both 2-8.
We're both 2-8.
We're both 2-8. We're both 2-8 at the time. So a win is a win, especially in the NFL. So pretty much what we did is what I said we supposed to do. Pretty much have Shedeur Sanders pretty much come in and just manage the game. Don't put too much on his plate. Don't try to have him throw like 35, 45, 50 times. Because we don't need to. Our defense is going to stop them on the offense and just try to run the ball through Junkins. Junkins came out and scored 2 touchdowns in Wildcat. And Shedeur, everybody's like, why was he out of the game? But it's like we have high scoring when Junkins comes in and does Wildcat because he knows how to find the hole and get through the gaps and stuff like that. So I think they did a good job in just letting him be a game manager, which that's what I felt that should have happened. He had that one blemish that he threw that pick because it was like they kind of messed them up on the defense. They played like a great defense where they dropped back a lot of their running back. They showed the blitz and then they dropped back. They kind of threw him off. He threw it right to the guy. But that can be coached. That he can work on that. So this is his second game as playing in the league. So he's still got to treat him like a rookie that's still learning this process. He's still off of 3 days of practice. He's still, working towards getting to where we want him to be. And like, I'm looking forward to like keeping him going for the rest of the season so we can see what we have against these good teams. So when he plays against the Niners, I feel like that's going to be a telltale sign of what he can do because the Niners has a good defensive coach in Saleh and everything. So we're going to see what he can do at home in Cleveland. So we'll see. I mean, I feel like
and then now that you've kind of said that, he's going to get his start. It looks like they've already came out and said that he's going to get his first start this week, and getting his first start. Excuse me, his second start this week. They've already named him the starter for this against the 49ers, and one of the things that a lot of people did not know, or maybe not know, what Sanders did this week. This was an amazing stat that I was able to pull up here. And Sanders had 3 passes over 35 yards against the Raiders, and the Cleveland Browns as a team had only 1 pass over 35 yards all season. So let's just back up for a second. Let's just say this: Shedeur Sanders had 3 passes in this game over 35 yards. But the Cleveland Browns as a team and all the quarterbacks, Flacco and Dylan Gabriel, combined after 11 games, they only had 1 pass all season over 35 yards. Now, Tony, make that make sense.
So this is what I was saying before. This is the whole thing about Shedeur Sanders that a lot of people that don't watch our football, don't watch Cleveland Browns, a lot of these people come in the comment section and want to talk stuff. But I feel like for Shedeur is just about them hating him and his father and his legacy or whatever
right.
you want to call it. But if you actually watched our games, like I was saying this whole time, I watched every single game. Even though we lost, I still watch our games because I'm a true fan, 45 years. So when you have a guy that can't throw the ball accurately downfield, and we know we have a quarterback just sitting in the wings, just waiting to get his opportunity, we know that he can throw the ball downfield accurately because I've seen it. Even though it was at the college level or whatever, they try to make up this whole thing about him, getting sacked in Colorado a lot. Even though he didn't have an offensive line like a SEC offensive line or whatever. They don't talk about that. They want to just talk about how many sacks he had or he did. Even though those times he was getting sacked, he was still making plays downfield and throwing the ball accurately downfield and stuff like that. And you want to say, oh, he threw it to a Heisman Trophy winner, but in order to have a Heisman Trophy winner on your team, you have to have a quarterback to throw you the ball. So I know that he could throw the ball. So that's why I was like kind of seeing, this is Dillon Gabriel is not the guy. I saw it the first game I saw him play, and you can go back to the old podcast to say that you know me how I was talking about Dillon Gabriel. So when you have a quarterback that can throw the ball accurately downfield, it's just like, and we had Joe Flacco too there that wasn't doing it, but I think it was the scheme. It wasn't the quarterback. Let's get back to that. But with Dillon Gabriel, that's a different story. But with Flacco, it's Flacco, we know he can throw the ball. It's just the way the coach was calling the plays, it just wasn't conducive to getting the ball downfield. We have burners at the wide receiver spot. We don't have like those guys. You can't send those guys across the middle and throw them short routes because they're gonna get blown up. And they're gonna be scared to catch the ball because you're throwing hospital balls. Like you throwing hospital balls right into the linebacker, and they're gonna take your head off. Like what do you expect? So we got to get the ball going deep downfield. So yeah, and then Harold Fannin. That's all I got to say.
I mean Tony B, he's watching us live now, and he's like Dillon Gabriel is like 5'7". We don't want to make fun of nobody's height, but I mean it's real stuff, And then of course he says hopefully Shedeur Sanders can continue to be consistent and confident and gets good play from other offensive skill players. So hey, thanks for chiming in, Tony B. I really appreciate your comments, and yeah, you're right. But I was very impressed with just the way that he handled himself under pressure. And the good thing is that he didn't have I think he only might have been sacked one time, but he didn't have a lot of, lost plays. He didn't lose a lot of yardage and sacks. He learned to throw the ball away or dirt the ball, whatever he was able to do, but not have negative plays and always stayed ahead of the chains. I know one thing, Tony, I wanted to ask you is that, every time they got down, a few times they got down there inside the 5-yard line, they didn't put Shedeur in. They put Junkins back there in kind of a wildcat. Is this because that he hasn't had enough work in kind of like the goal-to-go situations maybe, and they figure that this would be the quickest fix to try to get them some points? Or what do you think about that one?
Maybe I like you said. I mean, I feel like they just want to give them. We know that we had success with Junkins running the ball with them in wildcat, so it's taking a lot of the pressure off of Shedeur in the beginning, but I'm sure moving down the line, the rest of the games, they're going to try to work him into goal line stuff. It's not going to be every time because once they know we're going to try to do a wildcat every time, the team's going to try to stop that, So we'll have to switch it around a little bit. We can't do that every single time we get into the red zone or on the 10-yard line. They have to be able to use Shedeur moving forward in the red zone. So I don't think that's going to be sustainable.
and it's they're going to have to do something with that. And I want to bring up a question too. Is that right now you got in AFC you got a lot of things going on in the AFC, and you've got the Patriots that's only got 2 losses. You've got the Rams that just keep winning. They won again this weekend, and they basically pummeled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have fell off a cliff. And and the 49ers did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a solid last night by beating the Carolina Panthers and letting them get back, keep that first place spot. The Rams, of course, they've got only 2 losses. The Broncos, that was off last week when they got 2 losses. So Tony, to me, you've got these 3 teams that so who's the best 2-loss team? The Patriots, the Rams, or the Broncos? I have to say the Rams right now, to me, are the best 2-loss team only because of their experience, right? Only because of the quarterback play, of Matthew Stafford and just the things that they can do on defense. They'll give you some points, but you have to stop them too. The Broncos, however, they have a really good defense, but their offense is kind of lagging behind a little bit, but they score points when they have to. And then you've got the Patriots, and they've just been steady and balanced on both sides of the football. And you kind of wonder, hey, they have a young team, an experienced coach. So I have to really say the Rams at this point, because I think that the Rams have that Super Bowl experience behind them now that they won in 2021. And so if I'm looking at the big picture, I got to say that the Patriots and the Broncos don't have that experience yet, but you have a Matthew Stafford that is a Super Bowl champion, and he's got 30 touchdowns and two picks on the season. And some people just say, yeah, but he's got some little gimme, like 7 or 8 touchdowns that was kind of like, inside the 5-yard line or whatever. Say what you want to say, but 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So for me, it's the Rams. What say you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm with the Rams too, but comparing the two, my top 2 is the Rams and the Broncos, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because of the defensive side. I feel like the Rams gave up only like 172 points this season, and the Broncos only gave up 190 something or whatever it is. And but the telltale sign is the offensive side, because I have Bo Nix in fantasy, and he's inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get game to game from him, but you know what you're going to get from the Rams. As long as they're healthy, if they have all their players, you know what you're going to get. Those guys are coming out like knocking people over the head, and but you can't get that consistently from the Broncos. So that's why I feel the Rams is the number 1 team, and Stafford right now is the current MVP right now, because the Colts keep playing games with my boy in the backfield there. So Jonathan Taylor, so when they do that, it kind of puts as like you said before, it's a quarterback award, and right now Stafford is leading that right now.
And you wonder if the Colts can actually go and beat the Patriots in cold weather, right? Can they go to the Broncos and beat the Broncos in cold weather? So you're kind of looking at them and saying, hey, can they actually travel? Can what they do travel? They can travel. It can travel as long as they run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, right? Yeah. But I think in that situation, we're looking at the Colts. I don't think that Daniel Jones needs Jonathan Taylor to be terrific. Mm-hmm. It's not the other way around. And if they continue to make Indiana Jones pass the ball, then I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to handle. So that's why I think if I'm looking at these teams in the AFC, I probably would have to say the Broncos because of their defense and the AFC side.
Yeah, with the Colts again, they have to, when they're outside of that dome, they got to run the ball. They got to find ways to get the ball to Jonathan Taylor, especially when it's cold. Like the quarterback is not. He's not that guy. Danny Dimes is not that guy when it's outside the dome right now. I can't. You got to give it to Taylor.
Yes, you got to give it to Jonathan Taylor. All right, so when we come back, we're going to be talking about Week 13. A lot of good games on Thanksgiving Day, and they even have a Black Friday game. So we'll be back in 30 seconds. Hey, and welcome back to the Chasing the Highlights podcast. My name is Lonnie Washington. I'm in Arizona, and I'm here with my co-host, Tony Robinson. He's in Texas. Together, we are Lonnie and Tony on Chasing the Highlights. And, the second, looking at Week 13, we have, a couple of days from now, on a short week, we have a lot of actually good games. We want to start out first talking about the Cowboys hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. And they're a home underdog despite an impressive win over the Philadelphia Eagles. Kansas City's fresh off a win against the Colts and could get a boost with the return of running back Isaiah Pacheco this week. We don't know yet. I think he's a game time decision, and they haven't made it. They haven't made a decision yet. But when I'm looking at this game, I'm saying to myself, "Wow, this is 2 teams are still fighting for their lives." And Dallas has looked very, very impressive. They're on a 2-game winning streak right now. Their defense is much improved. And even if they can just play, somewhat middle of the road defense, right, with their high-powered offense, they're going to give a lot of teams problems. And, man, this game is going to be so good. Thanksgiving Day, Chiefs at the Cowboys. man, you kind of get Kansas City kind of out of Kansas City has lost like 5 or 6 games this year, really, really close games. And finally they get one. Last year they had so much success and they've won 11 fourth quarter games last season. The Chiefs did, but now they got to travel to the Cowboys, who are hot. And then, they're playing with a lot of emotion, for their fallen teammate. And so sometimes when you have just that little thing that has happened, it goes beyond football and you're playing for something higher than football, right? Sometimes that's all you need to kind of make you play out of your mind. And that's what the Cowboys are doing. I don't know, man. I got to flip a coin on this one. It's hard for me to tell who's going to win this game, but I'm always got to go back to Patrick Mahomes. But Dak Prescott has been better than Patrick Mahomes all season. So I'm kind of at a crossroads on this game. So Tony, help me out here. I'm going to go and say the Chiefs are going to win this game, even though they got to go on a short week on the road and play Dallas. But man, it's to me, it's hit or miss on this game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because if they can't, just like with the Cowboys playing the Eagles, they couldn't run the ball. So if you can't run the ball against the Cowboys, I don't think they could do anything to. I mean, Mahomes is that guy. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks, and but I feel like if Mahomes, they can't get the passing game going like they used to, I don't think they can do anything in this game on the road in Jerry's world. So I feel like if they have no running game to like throw the defense off, so they know. I don't even know. They can just play. I mean, they can just drop back into zone the whole time. I don't know because they got the pass rushers now to get to Mahomes. And on the defensive side, they're susceptible to the deep ball.
Right.
And I feel like Dak and them going to probably shred them on the. They don't have anybody to check those guys, and you got the tight end coming down the middle. You got the running game going.
Yeah.
So they're good at stopping the run, but with all those pieces going downfield, it's going to open a lot more for the running game to get going too. I mean, you can't pick your poison. You can't stop everything that the Cowboys going to throw at you. But also the Cowboys have to come out and play like they supposed to play too.
Yes.
They can't see the Chiefs that big, the arrow on their head with the red helmets. You can't see that and nut up. You know what I'm saying? You got to actually come out there and play your game. I mean, you're at home. They
definitely can't spot them 21 points.
No, not against the Chiefs. You can't do that against the Chiefs. No.
Yeah, they definitely can't spot them 21 points. And so, yeah, that's going to be a great game. I can't wait to see that after I eat some turkey. Got to see the Thanksgiving Day Chiefs at the Cowboys. That's going to be like the game of the week there. But you also have, the Packers at the Detroit Lions. And so, the Packers at the Detroit Lions. This is a crazy, division game. It's a NFC North class, a matchup from week 1, which the Packers won the game 27-13. Detroit has won 4 of the last 5 home games this season and will lean on their running game against the Green Bay Packers defensive front. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs against that defensive front of the Green Bay Packers. The Packers also expect the return of running back Josh Jacobs, who missed the previous last 2 games. And so that should give their offense a little bit of a boost. But, man, playing in the Dome on Thanksgiving Day with the way Jahmyr Gibbs and has been playing, this one's going to be a really good game too. And remember, they're trying to stay pace with the Chicago Bears, who have a big time game coming up this week too. So the winner of this game could possibly take over a share of the lead in the NFC North.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you got you have the Detroit Lions, like you said, back in the Dome. So I mean, when they're in the Dome, they play really good. So. I don't know. Green Bay, this is a hard game to pick.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough game to pick.
But I have to go with the Lions because they're at home, because every time they play on the inside, it's a totally different game than them being outside and out of the Dome and stuff like that. So the Vegas line has them winning. It's like -3 right now, and the over is 49.5. So should be might be a shootout.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that just overall that I think Detroit is going to win this game. Of course they're at home, but Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, he's just He's just been a beast. He's been pretty much unstoppable by most teams this season. And just the way he's playing, just if he catches the ball out of the backfield on a little screen pass, he can go at any point. You give him the ball on a sweep or just up the middle, he makes a couple of cuts, he can be gone. And so when you look at this particular game and them not having any elements to have to deal with in the confines of their own home, and that's one of the benefits that the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys have. They started this whole thing with the Thanksgiving Day game years and years ago. They invested in this game, right? They said, hey, we'll sign up for this game every Thanksgiving. And so for like the last, anytime that I can remember, they've had this home field advantage that was always put on the schedule every year. At this time of year, when you have a team that's a potential playoff team, it's a big benefit to come off a short week and to play a game at home on Thanksgiving. And, a lot of people are going to just, eat a lot of turkey and go to the game, or they might go to the game first and then eat a lot of turkey after. But whatever the case may be, it's a special atmosphere when you got to go to Dallas or when you got to go to the Lions. And the advantage to me always go to the home team, especially in the last 3 or 4 years since Dan Campbell has been the coach of the Detroit Lions. This is going to be a really good game, and they're going to want payback. The Packers are not the same team that they were on week 1 where they had that potent defense. They've got some cracks in the defense right now. If you're the Packers, and the Lions can't wait to feast on that crack in the defense if you're looking at the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, we're going to move on. We got, you know what? Let's go to, let me first talk about, just overall, we've got the Commanders, the Broncos going to the Commanders. Okay. And that's the Sunday night game. I don't expect much at all from my team, the Commanders. That's why I don't have a nice graphic on the screen. I'll just talk about them very short and brief, And I always kind of tell Tony, when your team is bad, I'm not going to talk about you on the podcast. I'm not going to talk about you. Your team is out of the playoff hunt. The only reason why the Cleveland Browns, and they are a bad team, they're not really a good team either. Their defense is top 2 defense, right? But the Cleveland Browns is a bad team also. But the only reason why they get airplay is because of Shedeur Sanders, right? He is driving all the media and everything. Just him alone, the NFL, when they get him, their ratings go up. Shedeur Sanders is good for the NFL, regardless on how they try to keep him out of the league. But my team, 3-8, the Commanders, and no Jayden Daniels either because he still has the elbow injury, but he is back to practice this week. So you might see, and I don't really want to see him play the rest of the year, but I understand why he got to play. I know you're chopping at the butt to say something, so what do you want to say?
Yeah, misery loves company. Why you got to tie my team in there when you talk about your
misery loves company, but your misery might be coming. You did get a win. We've lost like 7 straight. So, your misery is going to be a little bit, curbed because y'all got a victory. We ain't going to get another victory because I don't see there's no way that the Commanders is winning this game. And if they do, I'll come back on here and eat pie. But yeah, I'm going against my team. No Jayden Daniels. Everybody's coming off a bye week. But you know what? We might get some gumption up. Maybe there's a lapse somewhere in the 9-2 Broncos. I doubt it. So we'll just leave that right there. We'll slide out of that, real quick. But, I'm not going to let you off the hook either because, we've got the 49ers at the Cleveland Browns, right? And, Purdy last night had 3 interceptions, right? Mm-hmm. Purdy last night did not look good to me at all. But they're not going to go back to Mac Jones, right? Because, Purdy is their franchise guy. He didn't really look good last night and throwing 3 picks in like the first half and put them in a bad situation. But what saved them is Bryce Young was equally as bad on the other end. Throwing the interception, at the 5-yard line, throwing the interception, making bad decisions with the ball. He did not capitalize on the opportunities last night, and he gave the 49ers an out. Right. But the defense also played strong. We talked about Robert Saleh, on the defensive side, the defensive coordinator, the former Jets head coach, and he's like another head coach out there, just dealing with the defense. And with all the losses, with Bosa gone and Warner gone on defense, they still are locking teams up on defense and playing really good defense because you have an experienced a defensive coordinator in Saleh that is creating, taking away something in your weaknesses, and he's getting after the people. So Shedeur Sanders, you know, he had an awesome game last week, but he's stepping up in class to a 3-loss team. And, you know, I'm not quite sure if he's going to be doing, if he's going to be showing all that. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be doing all that in this game, Tony. And I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, Robert Saleh is a great defensive coordinator. He just pretty much came back to San Francisco 49ers because he was there before he went to the Jets. So they had to bring him back because of his great play calling on the defensive side. So that's what I'm pretty much saying to everybody that I've been talking to about this game coming up. It's going to be a tough game. It's a good test for Shedeur. You know, you got the little gimme game against the Raiders. Even though the Raiders played pretty solid, they played okay on the defensive side. But this one is going to be a good test for to see where he's at and like playing against a true NFL pretty much Pro Bowl
defense.
or whatever defense or like whatever you want to call it. Even though they have losses, like you said, even though they lost players, they next man up mentality there. He trained the coach trains them to be the same players. You know, whoever gets out of the game, everybody's filling in and doing what they got to do. So, but I still think that if Purdy keeps playing the way he's playing, throwing interceptions, I feel like our defense can get some points scored potentially. Because the thing about it is we have to stop McCaffrey. We can't stop McCaffrey. We're going to lose this game. But there's some kind of way we have to. I don't know if we're going to put 8 in the box to you know put pressure on McCaffrey and like on to get in faster on Purdy because. Shoot, you got that boy Myles Garrett. He getting in there fast. So I think they may try to put 8 in the box to try to like slow down McCaffrey and like get to Purdy quicker, and just do coverage stuff with the other guys and see what happens. That's the only thing I can think of to slow down the 49ers on the offensive side and potentially can get some strip sacks and get some fumbles and score on the defensive side potentially. So. But you know, I gotta go with my Browns because
you
know what it is.
Yep.
especially with this going on.
Yeah, I get it. I understand it. I get it. I understand it. That's your team. You coming off a big win. You think you have some hope here. You have some hope only because the defense is really, really good. And of course, you know, I said, hey, I'm glad you guys won because now the Commanders and the Cleveland Browns are both 3-8. And right now, I want draft position. You know, when your team is out of it by Thanksgiving, you only want draft position, right? So both teams are 3-8, the Cleveland Browns and the Commanders. And so I'm hoping that the Cleveland Browns win this game. And they could. The defense is good enough to win. It's just, man, I don't know how Shedeur Sanders is going to handle that Saleh blitz.
Yeah, but we, you know, like you said with the draft position though, but we still have 2 first-round picks.
Yeah,
to go along with our actual first-round picks. So I think we're good. We like. If we can, I feel like we should try to see if he can actually win these games and not try to tank like I thought we were. I mean, if just try to let this dude win, just manage the game. All Shedeur has to do is don't go over 25 passing, just try to run the ball and like just play safe and just let the defense help you win the game. Don't put them in bad situations. Just possess the ball as long as possible, and I feel like we got a chance. So
yeah, and. We'll see how this game turns out. We're going to move on to our next game, though. We have a Black Friday game this year, which is crazy game. You have the Bears at the Eagles. You know, the Eagles look to rebound after a away loss against the Cowboys. The Bears have been strong bet against the spread this season, particularly on the road. So, you know, if you look at, you know, what the Bears have done on the road, you know, they've actually been pretty decent. And so you wonder if that magic, you know, that Caleb Williams magic can still stay hot again. They've won 8 of 9 games. I mean, it's been an incredible run for the Bears. And so the Bears fans are excited, but they're cautiously optimistic too. You know, I hear some of the Bears fans, you know, I got some family members that are Bears fans, some friends that are Bears fans, and they're kind of quiet still. That they haven't really came out and roared yet. I mean, last year when the Commanders were like in this position that the Bears are and they were on their run, I mean, I was chirping. I was like, yeah, my team, this. I was chirping. And then we went to the NFC Championship game and got the doors blown off us. But I'm like, so what? We still got to the NFC Championship game. But the Bears fans are kind of like, we've been bad for so long and haven't really had a winning season. They're still kind of reserved. They're not used to winning yet. And so they're still kind of reserved. But this game is going to be a game that if they go in and beat the Eagles in Philly, which is a really hard place to win, if the Bears beat the Eagles in this game, I will say to you, the Bears have arrived and that they have something special cooking right now, because to go in and it's going to be cold outside and the Bears don't care about weather because they play in cold weather. Can they beat the Eagles, who kind of like, the Saquon Barkley, the 10 carries for 22 yards last week against the Cowboys? If the Bears can follow that blueprint of what the Cowboys did, maybe they can get in this game and start being at this game towards the end and be there within striking distance to win this game with the 5 minutes left in the game, and maybe come back and do a little winning at the end of the game, which the Bears have been really good doing. So, Tony, what do you think about this game on Black Friday?
It's a tough game. I mean, we don't know what Eagles team we're going to get on the offensive side, so that's what kind of throws me off a little bit. But that defense is just so good. They're solid. I mean, I don't know. But what nobody's really talking about with the Bears is that Monangai kid. The running back Monangai with Swift, they trying to get that kind of that offense that they had in Detroit with, like we talked about before, Montgomery and I'm missing the name, but the running game they had in Detroit. So yeah, they're trying to get that same kind of running game with
Gibbs and Montgomery.
Gibbs and Montgomery, yeah. And then you got I feel like they, like you said, they're quiet because they don't know, they don't want to get their hopes up. Just like the Browns, like whenever we get a chance to win, we still kind of hold reservations and stuff like that with that, getting too up on the team, whatever. But I feel like the Bears have an opportunity to solidify themselves, just like you said, with this Eagles win on the road. If they win this game, that bodes well for them moving forward. It's a good spark for them going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and when you win a lot, when you start winning, it's contagious. You don't want that feeling to go away. And so when those winning time moments come and you've been in those positions, 4, 5, or 6 games this season, and you've actually won, you actually start to learn how to win on the fly. So the Bears, I'm going to go on record. Bears are going to lose this game against the Eagles, but I think it might be down to the wire here on this particular game. The Eagles defense is good enough to stop the Bears offense, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Bears.
Okay, cool.
We got to get that lone wolf thing where they have on NFL Network, the lone wolf.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not even saying that this is even a pick'em game. They're going to play the Eagles. They'll come down a notch after the Eagles beat them, and the Eagles will get back on track to where they need to be. Jalen Hurts, when he started talking, real reserved in press conferences after losses, he doesn't usually have 2 bad games. And I don't think he had a bad game this game, but, he missed a couple of throws. But also Saquon Barkley, I'm going to lean on them to actually, have a better game and more than 22 yards rushing in this game. If they have
they could be saving them. They could have been saving them for this game.
Yeah, they could have been. We'll see. Yeah. It's crazy. So now we have a team that I think that's real hot. You got the Texans at the Colts. The Colts coming off that deflating loss at Arrowhead last weekend. And now the last time we saw the Colts, the only thing that they were doing was sacking Josh Allen 8 times last Thursday night. The only thing that Texas was doing the last time we saw them was sacking and beating up on Josh Allen to 8 sacks last week. Yeah. This team has the number 1 defense in the league, and number 2 is Cleveland, but the Texans here. And so, I don't know who's going to be at quarterback for the Texans this week, whether it's going to be Mills. I don't know. But Mills have won 3 straight. I don't think I would take him out right now because the team is hot. The team is hot while they're playing with them. But, man, the Texans at Colts, and this is a big division matchup. And the Texans, you better watch out for them because, they've been in the playoffs the last couple of years, and they know how to win. And now that defense is number 1 ranked. Man, it's going to be a good game.
Well, the only reason why the Colts lost to the Chiefs last week, and I'm going to make a joke about this, because they want to see Taylor Swift up in the stands in the playoffs to make that money. So I feel like that's the reason why the Chiefs won, because they want the Chiefs to be in the playoffs, because they lose money when Taylor Swift is not in the press box with Kelsey and everything. I feel like the Colts I think they're gonna get back to Jonathan Taylor at home. Danny Dimes gonna play better, but that Texans defense, believe me, the Texans defense is so good. But I feel like where they may lose because of Mills, maybe. Mills been playing really well, the quarterback, but because I have him in fantasy too, so I took a flyer on him and stuff like that. So I picked him up because I had Bo Nix on bye. But if Mills, I don't know, on the road at the Colts, I feel like the Colts are going to play pretty well on defense, and I think I got the Colts winning.
I got the Texans winning this game. I think the Texans are hot right now. I think their defense travels, right? Don't matter if you're playing outside, inside. They happen to play in the dome. Weather's not going to be a factor. I think that, I think that they're definitely going to go in there and beat the Colts up pretty bad. And all they got to do is put pressure on Danny Dimes. I call him Danny Dimes because he's probably going to be Danny Dimes in this game. I don't see him putting his cape on and being Indiana Jones against this Texas defense, the way they beat up Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen is the guy. He's a former MVP, and they had him literally running for his life last week. He was on the ground. He was holding his arm. He had all kinds of things going on, but they beat him down. And if they put the same pressure that they put on Josh Allen, who's a lot better quarterback than Daniel Jones, then we're going to see Danny Dimes come back out real quick in this particular game. And so I have to say to you that, man, the Texans, to me, I think are going to put it on the Colts.
Well, I think they're gonna learn their lesson from that last game, not running Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor's gonna have a breakout game. It's gonna surprise the Texans. They're gonna be like, oh, how are they getting ran on? Watch, it's gonna happen. And then Danny Dimes gonna run the ball too, and he's gonna surprise you.
Nah, I mean, because if you take a couple of hits, Josh Allen took those hits, and he started throwing that clock sped up in his head. And when you see that happen to this guy, who was a perennial top 2 or 3 quarterback in the league, then that's when you're gonna say if they applies this pressure to Daniel Jones, it's gonna be hard.
Well, it's different with Josh Allen. Like I've been saying before, like he has a Superman mentality where he wants to do everything by himself too. So he kind of gets in his own head. From my opinion, that's just my humble opinion when I watch him, because I have James Cook, and it pisses me off every time he just vultures the touchdowns on the goal line. So, but I feel like he kind of has a Superman mentality. So he kind of missed some things sometimes too. Is the reason why they kind of got to him so easily. I don't know, but I could be wrong. But
yeah, well, we got to move on. But man, this is going to be a really good game. We haven't really talked about this for weeks upon weeks because it wasn't really nothing to talk about. Yeah. It wasn't really nothing to talk about. And so we haven't talked about this, in a long time. But Joe Burrow is expected to come back off his turf toe surgery, just in time, where the AFC North is really struggling to find somebody who wants to win that division. And can Joe Burrow kind of sneak his team back in the playoff hunt? I'm not quite sure he can do it, Tony. But I mean, just him coming back, and this dude's a bad man too. I mean, this dude is Superman. He's not, he's a Superman, but he's in Clark Kent clothing, right? He's a little bit more brittle too because he always hurt. But man, when he's on the field, and the only thing that I might say, he's not going to have T. Higgins this week because if he's in concussion, but man, he's going to have Jefferson back and everything. No, not Jefferson. Is it Jefferson? No, Chase. He's going to have Jamar Chase back off of suspension this week, and man, their defense, if they could hold up, they might have a chance in this particular game, but I'm not quite sure, even if he comes back, that he's going to be able to do anything in this game. What do you think? Bengals at Ravens. Ravens really need to win.
Well, we know what the defense is going to do, and it's not that much. They can't really stop anybody that much. But so for the offensive side, if they have Jamar Chase and they have Yoshi Bosch, that nobody really talks about as much as that. I know him because I have him in my fantasy team. I picked him up for a flyer, but and then they got Gesicki that's playing the tight end spot. He's playing. No, that's another team. It's Fant. Noah Fant from that team. I think that's what it was. But I feel like if he comes back now and they lose, it's a waste of time bringing him back, because I don't want to have my franchise quarterback playing for nothing and have a chance to get hurt again. With that, that offensive line can't block nobody.
But there's 6 games left. These guys don't like these. There's 6 games left, so these guys are going to play, whether they're 3 and 8 or whatever the case may be. They're going to play.
Yeah, it's tough though, because you gotta, like you said, he's Mr. Glass, right? So it's like, I mean, you can't blame it on him like he's just injury prone. It's just the fact that he's not getting proper blocking, and when he gets hit, he gets hurt. I mean, the kind of injuries that come up, that's what happens. So it's like it's kind of hard to tell, like, where this game is going to go. But I feel like the Baltimore Ravens, because they got their defense, everybody's back on the defensive side. They got Derrick Henry going, because, like I said, when it gets cold outside, they start ramping up that run game. And Derrick Henry, then you gonna have Lamar Jackson coming at you. I feel like they're gonna put up like 40 points.
Oh, wow. That's.
But I don't know how many points the Bengals gonna put up though. I mean, it may be a shootout. You never know. But if this guy's playing, I don't know. It may be a shootout. But I got the Ravens winning.
Yeah, I got to go with the Ravens too. It's not, the Ravens, they still got, Lamar Jackson, and they've been winning. They've won 5 straight. And with him on the field, even though he's not, I don't think, there's something not quite right with Lamar Jackson yet, I think. And maybe he's still dealing with some injuries and stuff like that with the hamstring, and maybe some other little things going on. So maybe that's why he hasn't really really been himself. But they're doing just enough to win. And as long as their defense can keep them in games, Lamar Jackson will make enough plays and find enough plays to win. And I don't even think Derrick Henry has been doing much at all this year either, compared to what he was doing last season. And I'm not quite sure what that's all about. But this division, the Pittsburgh Steelers have lost control of this division. And, it's pretty crazy to see. And everybody kind of predicted it too. It's too bad that the Cleveland Browns don't have a quarterback, because their defense is so good. Because I would say that this division is still not, out of reach. You got 6 games left. Anything can happen. But, if the Cleveland Browns or one of these teams, the Cincinnati Bengals, can win a couple of games and beat a couple of teams and get a little bit of help, they could be right back in this race too, because this division is not going to be won, I think, until like the next to last week of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so that there is going to be, is what we're going to be watching for. But yeah, I mean, we are right up against the clock here, and all the other games, to be honest with you, you guys can kind of figure that out on your own, because the ones that we previewed are the ones that I'm definitely going to be watching. And you've got 4 games that's going to happen before Sunday, so some of the games are going to be kind of slim pickings when you look at, you got the New Orleans Saints at the Miami Dolphins, you've got Atlanta Falcons at the Jets, Arizona at Tampa. That actually might be a good game. The other game there is you got the Pittsburgh, the Buffalo Bills at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both teams need a win desperately. The Buffalo Bills, after getting their head beat in, by the Texans last week, they need this win big time, right? The Steelers, I think, are going to go by the wayside, but the Buffalo Bills need to keep pace in the playoff run. And I'd rather see the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs than actually seeing, the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I know that Buffalo can maybe win some games, but I don't think Pittsburgh even have a chance.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
yeah.
But I don't know. That's tough. I don't want to see the Steelers win, because that's a Brown.
They're in your division,
final,
right?
So,
they're in your division, so you're a division hater, right?
We still have a chance to come up potentially if they let Shedeur play and do his thing.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. So, guys, thank you again. Hey, be safe out there. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Tony, my friend, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving with your family. I got my dad with me this week, and, I'm going to have a good time and spend time with some family. It's this time of year here that we cherish, and we need to understand that, people in our lives, they might not be in our lives all the time. So cherish every moment that you have, especially if you have older parents, and then you have family that are coming in. So hold them tight, and have a good Thanksgiving. Hey, this has been the Chasing the Highlights podcast. My name is Lonnie Washington, and it's Tony Robinson there. Thank you very much, Tony. Hey, we'll see you next week.
See you.